One of my favorite guys also in the business is a little fella by the name of Chris Hemsworth.
Little fella.
You might have seen him. Spunky, can-do kind of attitude.
Skinny kid.
Little skinny kid.
Not late.
Never late. Never late.
Wow.
Always on time. Well, of course, a lot of people, we all love him as Thor, right? We love Chris Hemsworth as Thor. And Thor Ragnarok, I think, is a top 10 maybe, but definitely a top 15 greatest comic book movie. I love Thor Ragnarok. Love it. They brought a little bit more joy to the character of Thor. Chris Hemsworth got to play him a little bit differently, and it was great. Then came Thor Love and Thunder, where they said, when we added a little bit more jovialness and a little bit more silliness, that really worked. Let's add 100 times more. And it ended up making Thor Love and Thunder, I think everybody agrees, not as good as Thor Ragnarok. How much less good is up to individual opinions, but I think we all agree it was less good. Well, there is one person Chris Hemsworth says is to blame for that. Chris Hemsworth. That's what Hemsworth is saying. He's saying in a story in Variety that he takes the blame for Thor Love and Thunder, saying, I got caught up in the improv and the wackiness and became a parody of myself. In the article, it says this. It says, Chris Hemsworth graces the cover of Vanity Fair's May 2024 issue, where he revealed that he feels Marvel fans deserve another Thor movie after the whiff that was 2022's Thor Love and Thunder. By the way, that movie still made well over $700 million. Just going to throw that out there. The actor already admitted to GQ last year that his fourth standalone Thor was, quote unquote, too silly for its own good, but the missteps appeared to continue to haunt him. And he said this, I got caught up in the improv and the wackiness, and I became a parody of myself, Hemsworth told Vanity Fair. I didn't stick the landing.
Wow.
So, first of all, can I just say how much respect I have for somebody? Because nobody is ever going to deliver perfection all the time. But when they don't, to be the first ones in the room to raise their hand and say, that's on me. That's on me. I kind of like that too in professional sports. Like when somebody on a team does something stupid and hurts their team. And a lot in the NBA too, you'll see somebody raise their hand saying, that was me. That was mine. I love seeing guys and individuals own mistakes. And listen, I can see why, because Chris Hemsworth before Thor Ragnarok had started talking about how he thought Thor was getting a bit stale. He wasn't having as much fun playing him. And then along comes Taika Waititi and they do Thor Ragnarok a little bit differently. And it rejuvenates his love for the character and he's really into it. He loves it. I can understand the temptation to then push that even further. Mm-hmm. And, we were having a good discussion. Jonathan brought up a good point too, saying, well, it was still Taika Waititi was still the director. And I said, true. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I always say the director is the one who's in charge. They're the be all end all. But a showrunner on a big famous television show, it was the show Bones, said this once. A showrunner's relationship with an actor, the cast, is unique. In year one, they work for you. Like the actors work for the showrunner. He said, if the show makes it to season 2, you're their partner. But if a show gets to season 3, you work for them. And I don't think anybody would deny that Thor is Chris Hemsworth's. I mean, it's Kevin Feige's. But Taika Waititi was the third director that the character would work with. If you don't count the Russo brothers and the other appearances in the MCU, it was really Hemsworth's character. And they decided to dive more into it, and Hemsworth wanted to improv more and it got too silly. And maybe this is a situation where the director maybe should have had a little bit more of an iron hand and reeled it in. But Taika Waititi loves that stuff too, right? So he was probably loving what Chris Hemsworth was doing at the same time. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Miracle Made. Did you know that your temperature at night can have one of the greatest impacts on your sleep quality? If you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Inspired by NASA, Miracle Made uses silver-infused fabrics and makes temperature-regulating bedding so that you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. When they arrived at our house, my wife Ann loved the feel of them so much, she couldn't even wait for me to get home to put them on our bed. Miracle Made has self-cleaning. These sheets are infused with silver that prevents up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. Miracle Sheets also have incredible comfort and quality. Miracle Sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands and feel as nice, if not nicer, than sheets used by some 5-star hotels. So go to TryMiracle, that's TryMiracle.com/Campea to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code Campea at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you will get a full refund. So upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to TryMiracle.com/Campea and use the code Campea to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's TryMiracle.com/Campea to treat yourself. Anyway, Rob, I love hearing Hemsworth saying this because he's saying something that we all believe, and him saying this was me doing improv and I just went too far with it. And I also love hearing him say the fans deserve another Thor movie, because we've been wondering if he might be done with the character. Anyway, what do you take away from his comments?
Well, I think it's a perception. Whenever you can turn perception onto yourself and dig deep and question why did these things happen and realize, well, it was me all along. I admire that incredibly so. The problem is when you're dealing with movies, you've already spent hundreds of millions of dollars of other people's cash, and luckily the movie was still successful. It wasn't as successful as they had hoped, but it still made money. And I think, John, the way you put it was probably right, that Hemsworth and Waititi were having a great time on set, and they didn't realize how far they'd gone because they had the script. Everybody's like, that was hilarious. And everyone's having, like even Russell Crowe doing his voice, they're probably like, that was great. Keep doing that.
I still defend the Russell Crowe stuff.
You know,
I still think that's the only thing that worked in that movie.
I mean, it's funny. There's Russell Crowe. I love Russell Crowe, but then when it comes time to put everything together, you have what you have, and if you've gone down a path, you can't fix it. You've got to go that route. And I'm curious. It made me think about like Lord and Miller on Solo.
Yeah,
how you heard that.
That's a good.
Point. That Lawrence Kasdan was like, you're off book, you're off script, and it's too silly. And I could see Lord and Miller going for that 22 or 23 Jump Street vibe.
Yeah.
And I can see that kind of thing happening because when you're being creative and everybody's having a blast making each other laugh, you think that it is great. But then, that's great sometimes for theater. And when you're getting too big on a movie set, that looks fine when you're there. But when you actually start looking at the footage doesn't work as much as you might have thought it did. It wasn't as funny looking back, and maybe they ran into that situation that they were too far down the road, and they did what they could. But I think overall, it's funny because you watch the beginning of the movie and Christian Bale's God Butcher performance, it's like he's in a different film,
yeah.
And I respect Hemsworth because I think what we really want is a heavy metal Thor movie. We want some Wagnerian Led Zeppelin and not like the Immigrant Song, which was cool, but in terms of just using it once, the whole idea of making some kick-ass Molly Hatchet Death Dealer metal Thor movie where everybody's metal and not just Thor.
I don't know that that's what the audience wants.
I don't know, man. I want to see a Wagnerian epic.
I don't know that what the audience wants. Yeah, there's going to be the 5%ers. But I don't know if what the majority of the audience wants is this heavy, dark, dour.
Oh, I don't mean that. No, I want someone to say, yeah, man, kick ass, like you're at a metal show. Yeah.
But I think when you look at Thor Ragnarok, I think that
Never
showed
do that again.
I think they did want. I think the audience enjoyed getting.
Well, I think Thor Ragnarok came close.
Yes.
It was, but there was something along more on those, because what Love and Thunder did was it lost the cool aspects of metal.
Yes, it is.
And it went more Spinal Tap metal. And what people want is like, I want, Queensryche, Operation Mindcrime.
You know what happened?
But a Thor movie.
In Ragnarok, when the heavy stuff was happening, you felt it because the silliness, the more jovialness were accents.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So when Immigrant Song kicks in, you feel it, right?
And it was rad.
Now, there are moments in Thor Love and Thunder when some serious hardcore action stuff is happening, but there was so much silliness that you couldn't really get into the heavier, more serious parts of it. Right? So it was like almost the opposite of what they had with Ragnarok.
Yeah, and like, great heavy metal is both serious and kind of fun.
Now, here's a question
Like
for
Iron
everybody.
Maiden, dude.
Do you think they'll do a Thor 5?
Yes.
Because remember this, in as much as we all agree that Thor Love and Thunder was a step down, it's even as a step down movie, it made over $700 million at the box office. I don't think any of the Thor movies have made $1 billion, but they've all made a lot of money. So you think they will do a Thor 5?
I do, because, the thing about Thor, of all the Marvel Cinematic Universe main characters, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor has, I think, a 4-quadrant appeal. The way Captain America inherently, because he's Captain America, has more politics. But Thor, man, you can have Surtur. You can play the immigrant song. You can have kids like they did in Love and Thunder. You can do all these crazy things. And like a Thor movie can appeal to both kids and adults the way, say, an Iron Man movie might have a problem with. You know what I mean?
All right, guys. Question is for you.
Bring on Thor.
What do you think about this? Chris Hemsworth is saying, yeah, the problems with Thor Love and Thunder, that was me going too silly, becoming a parody of myself and doing too much of my own improv. I respect that a lot. It sounds like they've kind of identified the problem that they had. Do you think they will do another one? And if so, do you think they'll be able to get back to that awesomeness that was, like, say, Thor Ragnarok? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.